What is your name?
My name is Nick Ross.
What is your birthday?
February 7th, 1926 is my birthday.
Where were you born?
I was born in Glace Bay, Nova Scotia.
When did you join the army?
I joined the Army in June for the Korean War, June of just right after the invasion by North Korea of South Korea. I volunteered immediately because I was a trained soldier, and it was just after that I joined for the Korean War.
Did you also serve in World War II?
Yes, I was in World War II, and I served in Canada, the United Kingdom, France, Belgium, and Holland. And then the atomic bomb was dropped first on Hiroshima, and the second one was dropped on Nagasaki. And incidentally, I visited both places, and I wanted to know the effect the atomic bomb had. It was absolutely devastating. And the first atomic bomb didn't convince the Japanese to surrender, but the second one on Nagasaki did. It was so devastating that it's hardly decent even to think of Hiroshima being a city, because it didn't exist anymore. It was just blown right off the map. I know Nagasaki was somewhat different. Nagasaki is somewhat of similar to Rome in its geographical structure, and it consists of a number of hills which protected it from the awful blast that the atomic heat and the blast generated. It just went out at speed that's unimaginable. And but the blast in the case of Nagasaki was deflected to some extent into the atmosphere because of the hill structure. But in the case of Hiroshima, it was a case of rendering the city to dust. And that's about all. Even there was a Catholic church there. And incidentally, there's a large number of Christians in Hiroshima. This is not generally known, but there was a large number of Christians in Hiroshima, and there was a Catholic church made of stone. That church caught fire, and it literally exploded. And even the stones became heated, and the pellets just flew out from the church and did a lot of damage. And now, by the time I got to Hiroshima, there was a lot of healing of the people, but I saw the victims of what happened, and I saw women carry in their own flesh, which started growing, and it was burned blue. It was an unbelievable sight to see these poor people, many who had no knowledge about what the Japanese masters planned to do or anything else, or they didn't even have a hand in the war, but they were the victims. And it's something that we've got to consider in any future. What the devastation that was caused there would be many, many more times greater if it were to happen now, because the nuclear weapons have been refined to such an extent that it would blow a city like New York right off the map. And then the radiation would just go out probably and devastate areas for about 600 miles around. Now, this is just, speculation by people I talked with over the years, and they're still suggesting that the devastation would be complete. It's a mutual destruction if we have another atomic war. So let's hope that it never happens. And what happened in Korea should not have happened because it was an internal war of the citizens of the North attacking their own citizens in the South, which was pretty sad. Because South Korea was largely an agricultural state, and North Korea was an industrial giant compared to them. All the hydro installations and the heavy industry, they're all located in the north. And when I was in Korea, I was I had no idea just what, about, it was one of the poorest countries in the world then. And, when I saw what happened and I saw the country, there was no paved roads. Transportation was by oxen, a cart drawn, and vehicles were known. And the irony now is that South Korea is one of the industrial giants of the world, and they are producing automobiles, ships, electronics. They are one of the most advanced economies in the world. And I'm very, very proud of the part I played in helping South Korea achieve the status that they did in such a short period of time. It was a very disciplined society, and I watched what Syngman Rhee was doing. He was the president, and he, as you probably know, South Korea was filled up with political parties who all wanted their own way. You had 156 political parties fighting with each other in South Korea. Incidentally, and that's what they want to install in Ottawa now. But anyway, those 156 parties caused such dissension among the people there that they couldn't successfully execute the war because of a lack of cooperation. And the United Nations actually were invited in, and were, as far as I know, they were very glad to see us. And we were well accepted there. There was 21 nations that took part in it. And the war was executed with professionalism. And the valiant soldiers of the South Korean nation, they were indispensable. And some of them live here right in this area now. And one of them just died. A very good friend of mine, Major Kim. He was a distinguished officer and a leader. And he was also a very accomplished artist, living right in our area. And anyway, South Korea has come a long, long way. They're one of the giants, one of the economic giants. They're a juggernaut now of the economic world. And the people must be very, very proud of what they have achieved. And the standard of education is something that, and the way education is done, it's not, there's a discipline in that society that most societies are lacking. Everything they do serves the nation. The nation comes first. In Korea, you know that, I'm sure. I don't have to tell you that. And these people are all very, very outgoing now. They're relaxed. They've accomplished. They think Korea is a very happy nation. It was not a happy nation when I was there. They were starving. They were being killed. And I mean, really killed. Like millions were killed. It was a crime. It was a goddamn crime. Anyway, I don't like to talk about this. But anyway, I enjoyed my time in Korea, but I enjoyed my revisit there. I took my wife. I was almost killed. They were trying to shoot me, and I said, "Shoot, you bastards!" And I got buried alive. I got. I didn't sleep under a roof after I got there. I just climbed mountains every day, and I got very sick. And I didn't want to take any time off work, so I had to go to the hospital for a couple of days. But I was in the Battle of Cheili. I led that battle. See, to this day, what I saw. So, and I saw your animals in the field. The animals they'd kill the handful. Cowards, were not going to attack anybody, but the North Korean people, the soldiers, they killed cows. They burned crops. And they starved people, and they shot old women and little innocent people. Anyway, it's all over now, but you got a great nation, and I'm glad. And and as I say, I'm proud of what I did there. And I was pretty well known in military circles. So a lot of people know me across Canada. I served as the first national vice president of the Korea Veterans. And I served as the first president of the Korea organization in Ontario. And I have friends across Canada now and one who just died the other day, but I know people now in Korea and from Korea who live here. So, but I would like to go back to Korea again, but I never will. I'm not able to do that anymore. So, but
Tissue. You have tissue for him? Yes. I don't want
excuse me. When I think of those things and what they did to those poor people in Korea, I think of it. And even those poor Chinese, I don't waste much time thinking of the enemy as friends or anything like that. But I haven't thought, these young Chinese kids that we killed, they didn't even know what the hell they were fighting for. They had no idea what they were fighting for. So, but it's one of those things that it's a mystery to me how they can get young people to go in there and fight for a cause that they should be ashamed for what they did to those poor people. The criminal.
Can you tell us about the Battle of Chorwan that you fought in?
Of Taiwan?
Chorwan? Battle that you served in Chorwan at Ujeongbu?
Which one?
Chorwan. The battle that you served with Americans?
In Chosan?
Yes.
Well, I wasn't in the battle there. We consolidated. We chased the Chinese out of there, and just consolidated. It wasn't a battle. We were coming, and we were going to get them, and they ran. So anyway, that part was not a major battle for us, but it was a matter of consolidating. And everything we did was consolidate. up the mountains, down the mountains, up the mountains. And, it's cold up there in the mountains too. And we used to go through the monsoon season. That rain comes down and you never sleep with a roof over your head. You just sleep on the ground. That's all. There's no other place. And when you get up high and those mountains go like that, and it's hard to even get a position. So, but I got back. I was in a hospital for quite a while after I got back, and.
So before we talk about your life back in Canada, can you tell us about the battles that you served in?
Yeah. Well, I was in Chile. I was in the first coastal battle, first contact we had, and I was asked to lead that, which I did, and it was on the hill had a metric name to it. Hills. And I don't even know what it was, but it was a coastal battle, and that was our first one, and that was a major stumbling point. We knocked them. Well, we killed everybody there. They were all dead, and then it went on for some time, and the next major battle was in Chile. And at the same time as Chile was going on, Kapiong was going on. You probably know that name, do you? Kapiong. That was a major battle in which other Canadians were in, and that's where one of my friends who just died last week, he did the battle there, and it was just in that area where the British had their troops, and they were wiped out. And they were pretty well wiped out. Even their leader, the colonel, was killed. And they were all killed except the 57. We saved 57 who lived. And they were just a little back from the scene of the battle. And I met all of them there. And they were pretty hungry. They had a hard time. They were all English fellows of England. And it was a regiment that was associated with us. That I was in Chorwan. We had skirmishes there, and I got cut off from my platoon. I was supposed to be the lead section and everything else, but I got cut off, and I was trying to give covering fire so we could skirt around them, and there was snipers firing at me, and they were trying to kill me with sniper fire, and the bullets were just landing short, and they'd hit the ground, and they just pop up a little bit of dirt. So they didn't even hit me. Didn't even come close. They came close, but not close enough. So I just got up, and instead of walking, but I crawled around my belly until it was safe. I walked on my belly. It was for quite a distance, and then when I saw that the bullets were just hitting the ground and hitting the dirt, I got up and I walked, and they were still falling short. So I had a lucky day, and I had a lot of lucky days there, and I watched those poor farmers, and I watched what they did to them, but it was unbelievable what happened. It's hard to talk.
What did they do to
They
the farmers?
killed not just the farmers, they killed the bloody little farm animals, and one woman, she had you know how they carry a baby on her back. She was carrying the baby on her back, and she was laying there, and the baby and her the bullet was right through the woman, and the baby was dead. They were both dead. But I mean, that was just one of many. It's everywhere you would look, you would see people laying down dead. Cattle rolled over with their legs in the air, and all the farm animals slaughtered, and all the crops burning, and the destruction, the utter destruction of it was senseless, stupid and senseless. Because those farmers, they were just producing food. They weren't armed. They didn't have rifles, and
So were
then
Chinese or North Koreans there before those farmers cleared out of the area?
the which
Did farmers, the North Koreans or Chinese soldiers there before they were cleared out?
do you know?
The North Koreans got there before the farmers had cleared out.
Oh yeah, the North Koreans. Yeah, they were there. It was the North Koreans did it. Yeah, is that what you mean? Yeah,
That were responsible.
yeah. We chased them out of there. But I mean, it was when I say we, it wasn't just me or anybody else. There was 21 nations and South Korea involved in all of that, and everyone. I didn't have anybody. All the one section I was leading, I lost them all except a couple. So
Where did
at
you lose
Chaley,
them?
I lost, and we come under heavy attack. I didn't even know that anybody knew about it until somebody told me, "Oh yeah, you were in the battle." They told me at one of the Koreans, at one of the conventions I attended later, that they knew about it before I did. So, but I was a police officer, and so apart from going to the meetings, I didn't read anything about it or anything else. I tried to put it out of my mind what happened there. I couldn't. It always haunted me why they were so cruel with those poor people.
How many were dead from your section at Chaley?
How many? Well, in the section I had, there was. I'm not really sure now how many there was because I was one of the ones that was ended up on the ground praying that I wouldn't be killed along with the others. And when I saw them, the artillery and mortar fire was coming in. It was like a day in hell. It was awful, and a couple of them just disappeared. And the one fellow was next to me. He was hit right in the backside with, and it ripped the whole backside up. And but there was only about 12 of us involved in that. But we lost. I think there was 3 beside myself left, and then we lost a few others later on. But it was the young age of these people. They were just young. They were just boys, and I'm talking about our people now. They were just young guys, and I think we had 2 young men from Saskatchewan, and they told me I'm getting replacements for somebody who had already been killed, and they're sending two more in, and I got 2 young guys, and then later on I found one of the kids that was going 17 years. And I told him, keep your goddamn head down. You know, I tried to tell him, I tried to save him, but I couldn't. So, but I'll tell you, we enjoyed our trip, my wife and I, to Korea, and I was thrilled to see what they did. Paved roads, big city, clean streets, happy people, prosperity, big loads of cars coming out from the port in Busan, ships, 300,000 tons they're making there. The largest ships in the world now to carry oil are being made in Korea. 300,000 tons. That's unbelievable. And electronics. I'm sure you know about Samsung and all the electronics that are being produced there. And the telephones, they're having a little problem now keeping up with Apple and so on, but they had some of the best electronic wizards in the world in South Korea. It's hard to imagine how they come that far that fast.
You might want to ask how we were received in Korea when we went there. Oh, that was wonderful. That would be a good.
How was it in Korea?
How was it?
When we were in Korea, how did the people respond to you when you walked down the street?
Oh yeah, we were treated like heroes, and the kids would come up to us, and they would want autographs or pictures and get their picture taken with you, and they're school kids, and it was so wonderful. And everywhere you went, they would thank you and say hello, come up and say hello to you, and they would treat you like a visiting dignitary. And we were just ordinary people, that's all. And they were awfully good to us, and they said how much they appreciated our service there. And when I look back on it and reflect on the kind of achievement that we were able to propagate that potential that country had, because the fighting that goes on between the dissension between North and South Korea is just unbelievable, and the whole world is tolerating it. That young man who was the leader in Korea he's a genuine nut, you know. Okay, babe, thank you. And anyway, you want to talk about my service now here as a police officer? No.
So when you first landed in Korea on your visit
Oh yeah.
with your wife, were
Yeah.
you shocked by the scenery?
Oh, I was really impressed. I was really impressed, but I had already been told about it by other Canadians, and I was told those dirt roads, there's none of them anymore, and there was, I think, 37 bridges over the Imjim River. Now, we don't have a bridge anywhere that is as impressive as what they have there. Now, their infrastructure is all new, but everybody is living in what I think is a very prosperous, peaceful nation. And I think that some of the political hanky-panky that went on there in the days when I first went to Korea, I watched what was happening, and the rumor was that there was 156 political parties, and they all wanted to have their say, and they weren't going anywhere. They weren't able to achieve any united opinion between all the warring They were at war with themselves, but it was a war of words. In Korea, they were at war with one another. And that's when Syngman Rhee was appointed. He was jockeyed in there by the Americans to be the president. And he was educated in schools, the prestigious schools of the United States. And he was a very distinguished scholar. And he led the country into prosperity. Now, you might say there was a lot of draconian behavior on his part. I mean, he had everybody working 6 days a week, and they were working hard. There was practically no rewards at first. They had nothing except hard work. But he told them that if you work hard, the rewards are going to come, and they have. And the example that was set there stands as one of the real achievements in human behavior when you all work together, and that's what's happened. And right now in Canada, we got a government that's trying to consider having all these parties. They want more parties taking. It's going to be the ruination of this country if it happens. It already happened in Korea. I witnessed it there and how they hated each other because they belonged to a different party. After they got rid of all those parties, success started to bloom, and they achieved status as one of the leaders in the United Nations. Now they're accepted worldwide, economically and every other way.
For the 3 years that you were involved with Korean War, you were in Japan for...
I was in Japan for about a year on the instructional
Can you
staff.
tell us about what you did in Japan?
Yeah, in Japan, I was, first of all, I was in Nippon-Bera, which is just a very small, isolated community in Japan, on the main of Japan. And I also served in Nippon-Bera and Haramara. And I was in Kuri, which is in the Hiroshima precinct. So I took advantage of the fact that I was nearby, and I made sure I made visits to both Hiroshima and to Nagasaki, and I did. I had to see it. Nobody else wanted to do it, but I did it, I'm glad I did it, because I actually did see the war, and it was a closed city. There was no commercial operations going on there. And I watched what happened. They had the biggest battleship in the world in the harbor there, and it was turned over on its side. Now that was, but my time spent in Haramara was at the battle school, and we taught battle tactics, and we also carried out very heavy duty physical training, and we impressed everybody with, you have to be physically fit if you want to be in a war. You have to be strong. You have to be improvising. We emphasize all those things. You have to be adaptable. You have to know all of your weapons. You have to know all of the secrets of crossing a body of water and not drowning in it while you're surviving with your weaponry and so on and so forth. But we taught actual tactics, and we taught how to survive by yourself and all that sort. And to this very day, if I see something I like, I just pick it up and read it if it's relative to anything that I've already done. And I found a book last week about surviving, and I could have written that book myself. Yeah, so it was one of those things. And now in Nipombera, I was in Curry too, but that was a holding base. And the reason I was there is it was at the end of I had a contract, and they wanted me to maintain military status. I said, no thanks. I'm going to terminate my contract as soon as it's up. So I stayed in for 3 years, and then I got out.
3 years in where? Where?
Where?
Where 3 years? 3 years in where? You're
3
talking
years
about-
in the peacekeeping area.
Yeah.
The which?
3 years in the peacekeeping.
Oh, yeah, the peacekeeping, yeah. Yeah,
So
peacekeeping.
you spent 2 years in Korea.
Yeah, I
and
spent
1
a couple of
year
years in Korea, probably, yeah.
And 1 in Japan.
One
And
in
that was the
Japan.
whole peacekeeping operation.
Yeah, and I went to Japan, and I went to the Ginza. You heard of that, huh? Okay, and I went to the famous places that I heard about in Japan, and I learned about what the Japanese did to the Korean women. Are you familiar with that? What
Can
they
you
did?
tell us about what you've learned?
I can what my knowledge of that. Yeah, I knew when I went there. I had to learn. This is what I felt myself, and a lot of this was what I, on my own initiative, learned. I just couldn't go there and not know. So I learned that in succession, Korea was occupied by Russia, Japan, and the Americans. And the Americans didn't do too much damage there. Japanese were absolutely cruel. They were cruel to the Korean people. They had indentured slaves that they took from Korea and made them slaves in Japan. And they've done this before. For 500 years they had done this. And people, there's no outcry anywhere about it. They brought people, slaves from Korea to Japan 500 years ago, and to this very day, they will not allow them to be citizens of Japan. To this very day, right now. And, anyway, I knew about that. I knew what they did to the women. They made them, and they forced them into prostitution. And they had no respect for women at all. And if they saw a woman, they would grab her and just right on the street and do what you, I guess you probably know what I'm talking about there. But they were absolutely cruel. They killed people while they occupied a country that they exploited. They took all the treasures and brought them to Japan, never returned them. They're still there in Japan. And now, the Korean War served one method of preventing the Russians from, they thought that by going to Korea, they could stop the Russians from coming in again and then eventually taking over Japan. And that was one of the purposes of the United Nations in their thinking. So, but it's a beautiful country.
What were some tactics that you used in Korea that worked well for you when you were leading a section?
The which?
What were some tactics that you used in Korea that worked well for your team?
what tactics did you use in Korea when you were fighting like Che Lee? What tactics did you use?
Oh, well, tactics were different, would be different from time to time, depending where you were. If, for instance, if you were in the whole purpose of getting into a position is to occupy the highest place you can, the highest piece of land you can, and that gives you a visual control of what you have to see to protect. And so you were always fighting for higher positions, and sometimes there was no fight at all. You just chased them out, and they occupied it. And Canadians had a very good reputation for being aggressive, fearless fighters. So the tactics we used would be to attack. Sometimes they had a pincer movement. A pincer movement means you're attacking from different positions, concentrating on the one, and trying to eliminate as many people as you can at one time, and eliminate them all if necessary, which we did on the very first attack I was on. So, but I think that that's the gist of what I did. Everything I did once, I did twice or three times, and day after day, it was drudgery, hard work, and it was 7 days a week. There was no time off. There was no time out, and there was no hot meals. You ate dog dirt, and you didn't care. But we did. There was no comfort in a war, not the kind of war that we fought in Korea, because there was nothing there to protect you from the elements, for instance, ever. Not even trees, not even grass. It was just bare rocks, and you dig as far down into the dirt as you can to even have a place to lay down and sleep at night. And then when you're laying down, you're flat on your back, and you can watch the sky, and it's hard to believe the number of shooting stars and everything else that you see that are overhead, and it's like a circus up there. I don't know if you've ever been in a mountain where the night there's no light at all except the sky, and then you see all these lights going by. It's a comet, and you wonder, where the hell is that going? And the irony of it all is it's not going anywhere. It's going to burn out before it hits the ground. But there's some of them. There's a couple that hit in Russia, and not in 1970. This goes way back. So, but one we didn't even see one that would be close. The sky at 20,000 miles an hour. It was unbelievable. In a way, it was beautiful. So.
Can you tell us about your life back in Canada as a police officer?
Yeah, I became a police officer in 1953 when I came back, and I was a member of the Niagara Falls Police, and then we had an amalgamation. It became a bigger force, and then in 1963. It became a much bigger force. It became the Niagara Regional Police. And now we do the policing from the border of the United States all the way up to Hamilton and from Lake Ontario to Lake Erie. So all that land is what we control. We have about 1,000 officers now doing what we did. And I did most of my work right here in Niagara Falls. But I also did work in Port Colborne, Grimsby, Welland, St. Catharines, and I was a platoon commander, and I also worked as a detective. I did murder investigations. I did a number of those. And I won't touch on those too much because they're still, within the law. But one of them was a doctor who did his wife in, and I did that. I did another one in St. Catharines where a man murdered his wife again, and tried to blame it on a person who broke into the house. And I refused to accept his explanation. And anyway, I was able to prove that he, in fact, was the person who did the murder.
What about the World Congress of Police Officers?
Oh, yeah, I was co-chairman of the World Congress of Police Officers, which was held right here in Niagara. And we had police from all over the world who came here in 1967. And it was the third largest event in all of Canada during the centennial year. And I started that. I was a spokesman. I traveled all over the United States as the spokesman for it. I attended all their conventions and all of the big meetings of the police and wherever I went, they were willing to listen to what I said. I did the same thing in England. I had the privilege of going to New Scotland Yard in London and addressing the British Police Congress, and I addressed the ministers and all of the other people who were much above me in rank. I never pursued rank because when I joined the police, they didn't have a pension plan, and I was upset about that because I thought everybody should have a pension plan. So I started out having a pension plan, having that in mind, and the people I worked for, they didn't think that was very nice of me to ask for a pension plan because it cost a lot of money. And I told them I didn't particularly care what they thought. I was going to persist in seeking a pension plan. Even some of the people I worked with said, "Holy God, don't take them on like that." And anyway, I said, "No, I started this." And anyway, I took my bosses to court on an arbitration. And this is just a story I'm telling you. And then I presented the case for the police, and I won. We won the thing so all the policemen have a pension plan now, and that's one of the things that I'm most proud of. It's a very, very good pension plan too. It's the best, and they accused me of trying to bankrupt the government because I got this pension plan, and they said that I gerrymandered it away from them. I took advantage of them and all that stuff. Judges, I'm taking advantage of a judge, and it looks good on them though. That's what I thought. And now everybody has a pension plan, they're happy. And I was the Then I was the first chairman of the Joint Bargaining Committee for the police. And that was why I was involved in it. So, and I was involved in a lot of things. I was involved in the community, as was my wife. I served with the Niagara Development Association, which promotes goodwill in the community and major events, including Blossom Festival and various other things. And I served as just as a member, an invited member at first, and then I eventually became the president of that, and then I became the chairman of the board of directors. So I had I was involved in sports here in the community. I published my own magazines.
Even now?
This was something I did personally, in addition to the work I was doing. And I did that for a number of charities, or for myself, or hockey teams. I did the Miss Dominion of Canada pageant. I did it for professional hockey teams and all that sort of thing. And I had, for some of them, I did it free of charge. But if I was doing it for myself, I had a standard rate that I charged, which was 40%. And I took 40% of everything I made. I kept it for myself. So.
When did you get married, and do you have children?
Yeah, I have 3 children. I had, and one of my daughters just died.
6 years ago.
Was it 6 years ago?
6 years ago, November.
Yeah. And I got a picture of Tina down in the.
We do.
Yeah.
We do.
Yeah, I'll go down and get.
No, you stay there. I'll get.
Okay. And I was Judy's my second wife. My first wife died, and she died about 20 years ago. But I knew Judy long. This is Judy here. That's her name. And we worked together on some projects. She was just a young girl, just like you.
Actually, this is perhaps a picture
Yeah.
that you should show first.
That's your family?
No, Tina. Yeah, this is Tina. That's my son. That's my son-in-law. That's me, and that's my grandson.
Do they know about your service in Korea?
Yeah, they knew about it, but I never belabored them with details about anything. And they would sometimes ask about it, and I would tell them if they asked, but I never talked about it. I don't dwell on it except amongst my fellow veterans. Some people just can't believe all those things happened. They can't believe that many people were killed. Even in the veterans organizations, they didn't believe there was that many. So.
And some people say it's a forgotten war.
The Forgotten War, yeah. Well,
What is your thought on that? Do you want to see it more recognized?
It has the reputation of being the Forgotten War.
But how do you feel about it?
You know something, I feel awful about that they not only forgot, but even after they learned, it was just too late. There was nothing, the only people who remember the war now are the people back in Korea who suffered through it. They thank us for our service now, in Canada and everything else in the thing, and remembers on Labor Day. But it's, you know, some guy that plays hockey gets more recognition than we do. And, you know, we get killed in our job, and if a guy had a good hockey game, that means more to them than anything else. So there's a lot of things that aren't right about the way we celebrate. And we're more grateful for somebody scoring a goal for a team in a hockey game than we are for the service of somebody that spent their life almost every day. At least if you weren't killed, the fear of being killed was something up. You think, I'm going to be killed. And you know, you feel after a while, it doesn't make any difference anyway. So, but
And are you happy with
fear, I overcome fear long ago. There was nobody that scares me anymore. I don't care how big or anything. I'm not afraid, I'm not even afraid of dying anymore. So, but I didn't want to, and I would write occasionally to my mother. She didn't know. I told her what a great, place this was. We're up in the mountains having a nice time and all that stuff. I said I told her you wouldn't believe the food here. she wouldn't either. So, but it's in the final analysis, it's the Korean people who I weep for them for what happened to that country, and it's just too bad because they were such nice people. They were not aggressive or mean spirit or anything else. No, but those are some of the things I remember.
Do you have any lasting words before we finish the interview?
Do you have any last words that you'd like to comment?
No, but I want to emphasize again, though, my admiration for the stalwart defense of Korea that not just the United Nations, but the Korean people, and what they endured, and what they suffered, and what they sacrificed, and what they have since been able to do with an economy which was a basket case. I mean, it was a basket case in Korea, and what they've done with it is an economic marvel. It's an absolutely most desirable outcome that you could possibly imagine. The way the economy went, the way the people are going to school, they looked a lot different than when I was there. They didn't have food. They weren't sure about all these strange people who were coming in. Even the United, they didn't even know us, and they treated us with very, very great respect. And but I think that in the long run, the sadness is that North Korea is still there. It's still a thorn. It's still pointing a dagger at South Korea and threatening. And I don't know how long we're going to have to endure this nut, but he is a genuine nut. He's still killing people. He just killed one of his own uncles again. They tell me so far in the last year he killed 78 people. So, and we got people that keep tabs on him, and he's treated like a god, and he acts like one, and makes you wonder about how people achieve this kind of power. And he did it by succession. His father, before him, had that power, and his grandfather had that power. His grandfather was able to militate a gang of gangsters together and take power and then pretend he was the savior of North Korea. And he was able to persuade them to invade South Korea. So, and I think that in the long run, the South Korean people will prevail, and we hope that the other people will be recognized for what they are, gangsters, criminals, and he is one of the worst criminals in the world. So, and I'm just delighted though to see that such a nice country, clean, and you're be able to practice your religion, whatever it may be over there, and you can walk the streets in great safety. And when we walk the streets, they recognize us for being what we were. We get all the respect that I don't expect that kind of, but it's nice to get it. And it's nice to see the children approach you and not be afraid of who you are. And the children in Korea are not afraid of us anymore.
Well, we
So-
want to thank you for your sacrifice and commitment
Yeah.
to the Korean world,
Yeah.
and as well as continuing
Yeah.
your contribution to the
Ah,
Korean community. And
Yeah, thank you. Thank you. Yeah, thank you.
So we prepare a medal in appreciation for your
Yeah.
service and commitment. You've been to Busan, right? You've been
Yes.
to Gapyeong, Busan,
Yes.
and there's a statue. And
Which?
there's a statue in Busan,
Oh,
and it has the same saying, and it says, "We will never forget you, brave sons of Canada."
oh, okay. Oh, thank you very much. Thank you. Thank you.
That was
Oh,
Thank you.
you.
Thank you.
very, very nice.
No, thank you.
And you'll let me know how to access.
Yeah,
That's what it
actually,
says.
do you have an email address that I can text you?